Young men, listen to this one very carefully. There's something that happens that nobody talks to you about. But let me cast this light for you. What gives you strength to be the young man? You know, when they say youth, synonymous with youth, youth is strength. What is in the middle of these two things that makes it look like he's a 10 is testosterone, the hormone that makes a male a man. That hormone is what drives everything. It drives your competitiveness, the provider in you, your sex drive, drives your life. That hormone peaks at around 35, 36 years old, averagely. And then it starts stable enough and then coming down at about that age. And with the stable enough of the hormone and coming down, usually rises from when you're a child, slowly, but rises in your 20s is really going. That's when you find yourself engaging in things you can't even believe. You're jumping fence without your hands. You're doing all kinds of things, performing Superman level feats, you know. And then you can keep that till a certain age in your mid 30s, and then it stables off, and then it starts coming down. And that's about a man's prime. The dicey thing now is that around 30 to 35, 28, 27, somewhere there, that's when the young man is just figuring life out financially and deciding to take on responsibility. So when you had your highest supply of fuel, testosterone, you are running it alone. When your fuel was about when supply was about stopping, the consistent supply of fuel, you now decided to get a partner that you will run life with. So you're supposed to be a partner who will bring some fuel, and then, but in certain cases, sometimes you're the one who is carrying the partner. But let's say even it's a partner that you are actually partners with, where two of you are in a symbiotic setup. Now you're going to have children from that relationship. One child, two children, three children. If you have one child, a year later, that's a 2 year old. 2 years later, that's a 3 year old or a 4 year old. You know, so what you spend, the cost of running a family with a 1 year old is usually cheaper than running a family with a 5 year old. And sometimes we're having two, three, four children. And this whole thing is happening in that stretch of 32, 33, 35, somewhere there, you know, and then your strength starts coming down. But the problem is your bills and responsibilities continue rising because you're having more children, you're adding to the things you have to do with money. But if you're not adding more children, the ones you have are growing. So their need for cash also grows. The burden for bills also grows. If you're in an economy where there's also issues with inflation, where currency value keeps dropping, so that puts pressure on you again. But see what happens when all that is happening. Your strength that you have been running the cash up with is also going down as well. But the responsibility you are going to shoulder, you're supposed to shoulder financially and actively goes up. So see what happens. The man's strength goes down and his responsibility goes up. That's the setup for to kill the man. You expect that if your strength goes up, responsibility goes up, you can carry it. What happens is responsibilities sometimes lower than what it should be when you are in your teenagers because people are catering for you. And then your 20s, your strength is growing up. But responsibility is not necessarily shaking. You're eating, you're, play, doing, having fun. But when you now decide to become responsible, it's about that time when testosterone levels peak. And then when they peak, they stable off and they start going down. But then responsibilities keep going up. So this is what happens. Now look at this. Look at this graph. This is a very dangerous graph. Your strength levels go down. What you're supposed to show that goes up. This will crush you if you look at it. But what is supposed to happen in this window is every man is supposed to figure out from 27, 26 to about 35 or so. You're not supposed to make money with your physical strength. You might be doing that earlier on in your life, and it's permissible and excuse and it's you excused. But you can't, because of this equation, do that again. You're supposed to replace yourself with a machine that does not depend or run on testosterone. So your creativity does not necessarily depend on testosterone. Your intelligence levels does not necessarily depend on testosterone. So you build a machine and replace your physical self with the machine. And then the machine can now follow your responsibility up while you supervise it and clean it up for efficiency. And then it keeps following. Sometimes it even overtakes, if you build an efficient system, overtakes your responsibility and then builds generational wealth. You, as a young man, are supposed to replace yourself with a machine at about your early 30s, compulsorily. Otherwise, the load, the financial responsibility that comes with the decisions you're going to obviously make in your 30s will crush you and kill you. They may not kill you physically, but you may end up battling mental health issues. Because that's the essence of a man. A man's essence is provision. A man's essence is protection. You know. So if you cannot live up to your own essence, you find out that you feel dead, you feel less alive. That's when it has now hit you. Send this to your brother. Send it to any people you love. What you just heard. You've not heard it like this before. Send it to the people. Men. This one is for men. If you're a woman, send to the man you care about. Let them hear it. Hopefully they hear it before they're about this age. So that they start tinkering with things. They start trying things. They start and there's no answer. There's no what do I do? There's no what do I do. You're going to look at your talents, look at the things you can do easily. You're going to look at the things you like. You're going to look at the things in your environment. You're going to try things. You're going to take risks, try things. If you do it enough before around, you'll be able to see the one that you can now say and then you supervise. But the information has to come to you early. At a certain age, you can no longer risk failures at a certain scale because you're now carrying weight. So sometimes these things are supposed to be done, or you're supposed to have fairly touched the periphery of what you're about to do with that a bit earlier than you should. So again, to save another young man's life, to save another young man's mental health, share this video with people that you care about.